Hey guys, and welcome back to another Conan Exiles video. Today we are back on the Isle of Siptah in map square C6, building a huge castle. This build will use mods in construction and decoration, and the list of mods and their load order can be seen in the pinned comment below. As usual, this video is indeed sponsored by NordVPN. You can get 68% off a 2-year deal plus a month free when you visit nordvpn.org/eradYT or use code eradYT at checkout. Stick around until the end of the video to learn more about how to enjoy all the internet has to offer in safety with NordVPN. So, seeing as this is a speed build, let's get right into it. As usual with the speed build format, I'll be going over my inspirations and ideas behind the build, along with the process of the build itself and how I came to construct this design. The castle itself took a long time to build. This entire project probably took a good 4 or 5 hours just in game, so the speed build format is pretty much the only way to showcase this design. For this design I chose to create a massive castle on this ridge hanging high above the sea level of the isle. I was debating between different material choices as I wanted to do something that fit the environment but could also still be extremely imposing and intimidating. I went through a few different options, however, I again fell to temptation and resorted to using arena. I chose to use Frontier and Stormglass to complement the arena pieces and to try and get a nice colour and tonal balance across the build, which did actually work fairly well. In retrospect, using black ice might have been a better decision, with my current mod selection that is, as I do currently have access to all of the castle maculations from one of the mods I run. I think it might be Glass Constructions. However, I have never used those pieces before, so I might save that for a future build back on the Exiled lands, to be able to properly experiment with these pieces and create a nice black ice castle in the frozen north. In place of the black ice castle pieces, I did try to make some additions to the walls surrounding the castle that would make the structure look less flat and more like a true defensive position. This includes an entirely traversable wall that guards can defend the gate from, siege cauldrons, murder holes that archers can fire arrows from, and 2 tower turrets on the walls that allow for easy scouting of the nearby environment. This castle is in a great defensive position on this ridge, as the only realistic path of attack is marching directly on the gate, and the structure within the walls allows troops to funnel towards the gate on the ground to hold defensively in event of an attack, though I think having more options of defence would have been a good improvement, such as the ability to maybe have a trebuchet sited on the ridge just in front of the gate, or maybe even another smaller wall structure to create another buffer between the castle and the exterior gate. Overall though, I'm actually quite happy with the wall. I think it came out well, it looks well defended, and helps to make the castle feel a bit more realistic in terms of its defensive capability, and to make it feel like a secure, reinforced location. When building the castle itself, the structure did turn out a little more blocky than I intended, but this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I used arena and stormglass within the castle itself and tried to build a multi-level structure, with many different areas that introduce plenty of verticality within the build, and take away from the overall box-like shape of the castle. Seeing as I did my usual trick of kind of building this castle without a plan, I think the castle did indeed suffer from some planning issues that impeded the flow of the build, as you'll see when we get to the furnishing phase. If you've been here for a while now, you'll know that I'm a big proponent of not only trying to make the build look good, but also to ensure that it flows properly, and doesn't feel difficult to actually traverse. I think the flow did suffer slightly on the ground floor of this build, though it does get much easier as you climb up the floors. Overall though, I think the castle itself isn't too bad. It definitely could be built on and improved further, and most of that is my fault for not pre-planning the structure because, your boy is disorganised. But I'm definitely happy with how this build came out overall, and I think it's a good attempt at a fortified, realistic castle, even if it could be improved in some areas. The main inspiration for this build was just to do that, to create a fortified castle that could use the nearby environment as a way to directly influence the build, rather than to just have the castle slapped down somewhere in a grassland area. Traditionally, castles were always built with the environment in mind, and were designed to be located in areas that made the defence of the castle far easier, be that a ridge, a cliff, 2 hills, whatever. It was built with the environment to make it so much easier to defend. You can never make your walls completely immune to attack, as a sustained assault on even the hardest and biggest walls will eventually see them crumble. So using the environment to force the hand of any attackers and put them into a disadvantageous position where the defenders can rain down arrows, boiling oil, trebuchet rocks, ballista bolts and other defensive options was one of the best ways to ensure your castle always had the best chance against any attack and would remain standing. Again, there are some defensive options that I think could have been improved on the build, both through design and through mod pieces I could have used, but overall I think this castle is a good improvement over some of my previous designs, and definitely emulates a more traditional castle design better than some of my previous castles. So I think that's about all I have to say for the construction phase of this build. As with my usual speed build format, I'll let the rest of the construction phase roll and I will be returning for the furnishing phase. So, until then, enjoy the rest of the build. Finally, when the shell of the build was done, it was then time to, of course, furnish. Approaching the castle, I've lit the structure with plenty of different lighting options, including wall and hanging braziers, along with various different types of sitting braziers around the castle. I've also added some trees within the keep and built some extra details around certain parts of the build to add more, well, detail. Entering the keep, there are a couple of areas outside the castle to provide some different services and functions to those within the castle. This includes a small stables area, an area to practice archery, and also of course a tower to access the walls. The wall itself stretches around the entirety of the build at 5 tiles high, and whilst it is impressive and does a good job of fortifying the area, it manages to also not diminish the size and structure of the interior castle, and makes the overall build feel even more intimidating, which is exactly the feeling I was going for during construction. The wall is manned by thralls and packed with defensive options including siege cauldrons, murder holes, barrels full of weapons, and barrels full of oil that can be heated and poured down onto attackers. Entering the castle, we first reach the ground floor. This floor includes a dining room, a kitchen in the back tower, a small workshop towards the back of the floor, and a staircase in the square tower on the right hand side. In my opinion, this floor is probably the weakest, as I think it definitely suffers from some issues with flow, and in retrospect could have been designed a bit better to avoid these issues. On the first floor, I've included a catwalk to introduce some more verticality into the build and help to make the entrance to the castle a little bit more impressive. On this floor, I've included 2 larger workshops and a large storage area in the left side tower. All of these facilities, of course, allow the castle to produce mass amounts of resources to use on defence and upkeep of the fortress. Heading up to the second floor, this is the guest area, where visitors to the castle would be able to stay. This floor includes some casual meeting areas in the corridor, along with 2 guest bedrooms and access to the main roof. The main roof is where the guards can be stationed to watch over the castle itself, along with where the outdoor armoury is located, and a Wheel of Pain to break in the quote-unquote new recruits. Finally, on the third floor is the master bedroom, a place where the main resident of the castle can sleep away from everyone else. Being so high above the rest of the castle and with all the necessary areas below it, this room has a great amount of privacy, as nobody really has any need to come up here. And there we have it, a castle on the Isle of Siptah in map square C6. Thanks for watching. As I said in the last video, I feel like I've underutilised some of the great areas on Siptah where I could have built some massive structures, and I think this one definitely uses the environment well, and I'm quite happy with it overall. As I mentioned earlier, this video is indeed sponsored by NordVPN. If you want to stay safe on the internet and ensure you can't be tracked by shady individuals, all whilst being able to access Netflix, BBC iPlayer, ITV, Hulu, HBO and more regardless of where you live, all whilst maintaining blazing fast internet speeds, NordVPN is the perfect choice for you. When you use my link or discount code, you can get 68% off a 2-year deal, which comes out to $3.71 a month, an absolute bargain price for such a great service that I use almost every day. The software is a small download and it's easy to use. One click and you're both connected and protected, and you have full access to the internet. Nord also has very strict policies on protecting your data, meaning you can browse in confidence. Visit nordvpn.org/eradyt or use code eradyt at checkout to claim this huge discount and get the best VPN service available on the internet, and also help me out a lot at the same time. As always, thanks to Nord for sponsoring the video. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like and let me know in the comments below if you have any build suggestions for future videos. As usual, absolutely anything is welcome. Don't forget to both follow me on Twitch and join the fun on our Discord through the links in the description. Again, don't forget you can get 68% off NordVPN when you use code eradyt at checkout, or you can go through my affiliate link in the description and pinned comment below. YouTube is currently my full-time source of income, so if you enjoy the content and would like to help support the channel so I can continue to put out the best content possible, do consider becoming a patron. There are multiple tiers of support from $1 to $20, offering many different benefits from a mention in every video to Discord roles, and even sneak peeks of every new video before anyone else. The link to my Patreon is in the description, so if you'd like to support the channel, feel free to consider becoming a patron. On that note, a thanks to our current patrons Sammy, Sir Dialot, Randar, MK Pantheon, Sergeant Swede, and Shannara. If you're new here, feel free to check out the rest of the content on the channel. There are new Conan Exiles videos coming every Wednesday and Sunday, so if you like what you see, subscribe and ring the notification bell to be the first to see the next video, and to join us on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.